Hello and welcome to the stream of chaos. My name is Dave and I will be your keeper of arcane lore for this session called Cthulhu. Today we are continuing our playthrough of Hoist Regency Cthulhu, and you can get your own copy of this book over at chaosium.com. We're playing the second scenario contained, the Emptiness Within. You can find all of our VODs collected over on the Chaosium YouTube channel, and if you're watching there, we do stream live each week over on Twitch on Fridays. I want to give a thank you to Roll20 and to Sirenscape for being tools which we use to improve our game. And without further ado, we'll return to the scenario at hand, reintroduce our investigators, and see the return of our charming Reverend Jennings. Terrific! Where we left off last session, and I'm going to be a little light on the recap because Reverend in character and the player above do not know what has happened. So we will allow the characters to reintroduce the setting, and there's going to be kind of like an character recap for those that are looking for one. But where we find things, Miss Molly Rowlands, Jane Radcliffe all but shed, is up in the north, traveling back down into the city, where Miss Wentworth and Mr. Potterton are also traveling inwards from the south, from the Potterton estate. The Reverend has spent the last few days looking over the sleeping Dr. Parsons and caring to the ill people in town while the Doctor is unable to. And as a storm gathers in the south over the forests and the North Lake estate, night begins to fall, and our investigators soon will reconvene. We'll hurl around the table, reintroduce each of our characters, and can we begin, please, with the Reverend?
Hi, my name is Art. I'm playing the very unaware, but also aware of some stuff. Reverend Samuel Jennings, who has spent the last however long it's been in game since I was on stream. I believe it's about a day and a half. Looking after the good doctor while he slumbered, and not really having any idea of any shenanigans. Just assumes that his compatriots are, continuing to investigate, say, the tavern, that there's some, maybe symbols that they need to go and find, just kind of assuming that they're going to keep themselves relatively safe while they continue to investigate from the real kind of, academic sense of the word, and definitely not putting themselves into any danger whatsoever.
Yeah, and well, we'll pick back up on that. So I guess speaking of not putting themselves in danger, let's go across to Jackson.
Hi, I'm Jackson. I was playing Jane Radcliffe, who was being played by Molly Rowlands, and now I'm playing Molly Rowlands. The disguise has come off because the disguise has come off along with the wheels of this scenario. And everything's getting a bit iffy and a bit questionable, and it's time to drag this wheelless cart home. I pushed that metaphor too far, much like the cart that has lost its wheels.
Perfect, yeah, this is our wheelless cart. All right, well, I don't have a segue across that, so let's go across to Jim.
Hello, I'm Jim. I am playing George Potterton, and I'm no longer the most eligible bachelor in all of Tarryford. Variety magazine we're in the Regency era. Status Quo magazine has dropped my ratings significantly. I'm currently hovering in between being married to your work and the sea, because I've really put my foot in it, and got myself wrapped up in a little bit of maybe murder, but I'm out on parole, and I'm going to join my friend Ms. Wentworth for some home invasion. Should be great.
My favorite thing one of my favorite things. The last episode had a lot of my favorite things. One of them was several people commenting on the scene that we did with Asher and you, and because I clearly was fairly blasé about it, you just go like, "I've done a murder," and Asher just goes like, anyway, moves right along. I didn't realize it was quite so egregious at the time. Definitely just like moving, let's focus on important things. Speaking of focusing on important things, let's go across to Alex.
Hi, I'm Alex, and I'm playing Miss Emma Wentworth, the only Northlake sister, who If it were not for the good Reverend, would have absolutely taken the marriage route of Into the Sea. Which, you know what, I really enjoy the Harold Holt scale of eligibility we have going here. Are you gonna marry at work, or are you just gonna disappear into the ocean
Is
one
it a
day?
submarine?
Things are bad. That's probably the focus right now.
Things are bad.
It's bad. It's
bad.
bad. It's so much worse than we thought. It's so much worse than it's always worse than we thought, but it's so much worse than we thought.
These things scale, and they very rarely scale in a positive manner. Well, so speaking of, we'll zoom back in on the Reverend Jennings, who for the last, what is it, a full night, almost a full day, and now approaching the second night, has been staying at Dr. Parsons' home and surgery in town. His wife, Abigail Parsons, has been helping to tend to him, but Reverend, you've kind of shouldered a lot of the burden here. During your time here, you have tended to the doctor and some of the other people that are sleeping and staying here. You've also checked in on a few of the homes that he recorded in his journal of new people that have fallen asleep. When the sickness first came in, there were 6 people. You have since found another 5 that have fallen asleep. Dr. Parsons found another 5 that have fallen asleep. Some of them possibly had already slumbered and were just never reported in. But clearly there's more coming. And actually then through your own independent research during this downtime, you've heard of others happening. There's also been 3 deaths as more people perish, and the mortuary underneath the surgery is now piling higher and higher with corpses. You yourself have spent quite a while with Dr. Parsons trying to sort of coax him out of this state, speaking to him, reminding him of the pool, hoping that he can find it, urging him to do so, and also managing his wife, who wants to reach out to Mr. Asher, who is now the judge in town. She has sent a note across saying that she wants to escalate things, but she has not met with him yet. Beyond that, is there anything you wanted to have done during this period that you want to kind of cut back to?
Mostly like purely from a player as well as like a character perspective, I think the most helpful thing I could have done in this downtime is to try and like do as much research, like looking into the notes that the doctor made, looking into my own like notes that I have been making, anything that I found from the North Lake estate when I was able to look there. If possible, and I don't know if this is something that would have been available to me, but if I've been here for like a day or so, there is a chance I might have sent a missive to the North Lakes asking for books from the library that would help, me understand what's happening. Whether they would be willing to like send a small, oil paper wrapped package with a few of the books from their library, so I could have been looking at those while I was with the doctor, like medical type things, perhaps, outside of my area of expertise, just to sort of like help. But I don't know whether that would have been. I would have tried it. 100%. I think I don't know whether. Yeah.
You couldn't have sent a runner to deliver that message. Could you please make a quick etiquette roll or similar for me? Etiquette's probably my favorite for this.
Yeah. Absolutely. We'll see. Here we go. Not a fumble, but no.
Yeah.
I think
it gets sent, and the letter is returned to you, and they say it was not received. The staff weren't present, and the gates were closed, so they weren't able to deliver it. You can try again later.
That's fine. It was a thought of a something I could be doing if the North Lakes were willing to if I'd made enough of an impression they were willing to help. It's very reasonable that they would be like, no, we don't want to send books from our private library out into the world. So, bit of a wing and a prayer. Otherwise, it's just going to be looking at the doctor's notes, trying to understand. I think I'm trying to understand the mechanisms by which this is affecting people, and also the mechanisms by which they are dying. I understand the logic of what I'm being told, but I'm actually trying to get my head around the mechanisms potentially from a medical stance, but given like the vibe, potentially also from a spiritual sense, these people seem to just be expiring, and at least in this time period, the only thing I can think of that would involve someone expiring without any kind of physical injury or issue would be that they had lost their humanity, i.e. their soul. So,
I think that's definitely a thread the Reverend might pull on. Could you please give me a genuinely religion would apply here. Otherwise, the natural philosophy, which is the science skill. I can also see some of this under occult, kind of whichever strategy you want to take going forward.
I mean, I think I've kind of done what I can with the natural pathways. I think religion is absolutely where I'm going to go. I'm also just going to, it's my highest skill. I may as well.
Big numbers. Cool when they go.
Big money, no whammies.
Yeah. And before you do this, would you be willing to liaise with Reverend Choke in exchange for a bonus dice and kind of try to work with him in this? So reach out, talk with him.
I mean, the thing for me is I have never had a problem with Reverend Choke and have always been willing to bury the hatchet.
Yeah.
In a gun, not in his back. Whereas it's always been him that has taken umbrage against me. So if he's willing to talk to me, then yes. I have nothing, at least insofar as like the I think that this is a potential spiritual matter that I could use your advice on, trying to stay away from the occult angle. Because like if anything's occult, it's going to be like, obviously the workings of Satan we must stand against that. So that's kind of like how I would put the occult stuff if I needed to. But yes, happy to if he's happy to talk to me.
So it's limited. So traveling over to his church, you will see that a lot of the sleepers have been moved towards there. There's a lot more space than at Dr. Parsons, and people are beginning to be kind of collected there. It looks as though that's going to be the next stage in this, particularly if the doctor stays asleep. Will be just move everyone under the Reverend's care. As you go in there, you can definitely see that he has taken this new pedestal and is comfortably standing atop it. He's quite excited about the idea that everyone's returning to Tarryford. Sure, they're asleep in the pews, but that's a win for old Choke. And it's like the veiled smugness of the era, He finds a couple of ways to remind you, at least, that looks like everyone's in Tarryford and looks like where this is, where it's really coming. And look, here you are coming to me for advice. But we'll give you the bonus dice, and I think we'll kind of reconcile how he reacts and treats with you based on the outcome of this roll. So if it's really good, maybe he does give some insight. If it's poor, maybe he kind of just tries to spend the whole time getting one over you.
Yeah. And for the record, Sam is not he's not a prideful man. So like accepting the Reverend's like, I'm better than you, he goes, but of course you're like, of course you are the person who's been here the longest, the one that the people trust, like, I can only come to you for assistance in this. Like, he absolutely has no problem just kind of going,
the game.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, I don't care about him and me, I care about the people of this town, and if they want to go to him, if they find all that kind of stuff. Anyway, roll. Let's do it. Huh.
Big numbers. And small numbers up. Small numbers next to big numbers.
Well, currently no. That my digital dice do not like me right now.
Not
but let's see
today.
how I go with the bonus.
Okay.
Apparently my digital dice just
really
don't like me
consistent.
today.
You said big money, and they didn't hear no whammies. It just got big numbers.
It just did big numbers.
I think. Go yeah.
I was going to say, I think the Reverend is unfortunately reasonably unhelpful. He is leading people in large prayers, trying to get them direct towards people. He does have folks coming in, donating time to care for them, so these people are not in danger. But those that have died, he is treating with a lack of respect. There is a level of they gave up, and they have been taken. And he does seem to share the thought with you that they're through some way, the devil has gotten into this place and their souls have been consumed. He does also recognize like something has taken them at this point. And also a lot of them, before they die, have this like giggling fit as they perish, which he is very much seeing as like the work of the devil getting into it and then consuming them. But beyond that, he's not like bouncing ideas off, and unfortunately you can't get a lot of work with him. Returning back to the Parsons estate and checking in, you'll see that the doctor's still slumbering and rain is falling heavily outside by the time you return. Night will fall soon, and speaking with Mrs. Parsons, you kind of transfer care over and think that you will head home to your fiancé and check back in on Mr. Potterton and Miss Radcliffe. As you are having this thought, there is a knock at the door. Your mind already with your fiancé, you go downstairs and see standing on the like porch, just as a staff member has opened it, the single staff member for this manor, is Miss Radcliffe, looking rather more bedraggled, here to call upon you. And I'll pass it across the two of you.
Yeah. Looking
Radcliffe.
bedraggled in the sense that no longer wearing a dress, but, you know, cotton shirt and riding pants, I imagine.
And carrying, like, unless you ditched some tools, like, I don't know where, like, the things that you had are nearby.
No, that's true. 100%.
Up to you.
With a dirty pick and shovel slung over the back.
I will I will say, Miss Radcliffe.
Molly, can I come in?
I this is not my establishment, but
Thanks. I'm gonna walk on in.
The inside is fairly well kept as usual. All of the sleepers have been kept out of the parlor, and that space is still available for tea. Mrs. Parsons is not present currently as she's attending to her husband, and the two of you have privacy.
what can I assist you with, Miss Molly?
I'm a bit stuck. And you said I could talk to you, so I came to talk to you.
You, of course, anyone of Tarryford or Bungford or any of the surrounding areas. I mean, anyone at all who needs an ear and some advice may always ask for assistance. What can I? What's happening?
I guess I
Molly?
just need a way out, don't I? Just need a way out. This whole damn situation we got here. I just need a way out without getting anyone hurt. Mostly me.
Do you mean this sleeping sickness?
Yep, that. And the blistered eels who are gonna have my neck if I don't turn up with some money after 3 months of work.
I'm going to assume...
And you know, the constables and Potterton and anyone else who wants a piece of me. I just need a way out, don't I?
Molly, can you do something for me? Could you please take a rather large and deep breath in and out?
Yep.
Thank you. Now, let's start at the beginning. Going to assume the blistered heels are a society of some variety, a group.
Yep. We look after each other, and we keep each other alive. We do jobs. We do jobs that. We do the only jobs that we can. We do the only jobs that are left for us. We do the only jobs you can when you're born in the wrong family, wrong place, wrong time. You know, that turns you to a certain life of taking things what you weren't given based on where and when and how you were born.
I want to be clear, Molly. I am not here to judge you. That is...
Right.
That's That's the Lord's job.
Yep. Well, try telling that to them. They're hungry. They're angry. I didn't come back to them with, you know, a big pile of money that I was supposed to get out of Protestant. And if I don't do it soon, then, you know, they're going to take me down. Just like my brother. He was in charge until yesterday when he got shot. No, shot, then stabbed. And now I just need to get out in one piece. And I can get out in one piece if, you know, your lot let me get out. And if I've got something to tie the heels over, tied over the heels. So, what I've got is some symbols that were under some other symbols, you know, like the stones that we were looking at. I've got them, and I reckon if they help people wake up, you know, if we stop people getting sick, then that's worth something, isn't it?
I'm understanding correctly, Molly. You are currently in a situation of rather extreme danger. You are worried about your life, and you still want to help save the people of this town.
I reckon that's a pretty good ticket to save my own hide, yeah.
There are always options, although it may not seem like it from where we stand. There are always alternate paths forward. Just because your life has been hard and holds a lot of grief, fear, and lack, does not mean that needs to always be the case. Do you want to leave Tarryford and continue living as you have, or do you want a place to perhaps find out who Molly is without heels?
I know who Molly is.
Do you?
She's the same person that the whole world's been telling us she is. You know? You can't... I'm not gonna convince everyone in the world that, you know, I've got the same rights to walk around in, you know, nice clothes and have 3 square meals a day. You know, if everyone thought that, then I wouldn't be in this situation. All right? So, you know.
Well, Molly, you made me think that when we met. Didn't you?
All right.
I'm not suggesting that Miss Radcliffe needs to come back. I, and almost certainly the Lord, don't take particularly well to lying, but there is an opportunity for someone new to come and help people, and then maybe have a place to start afresh. Because just because the world tells you something doesn't mean it's necessarily true. The world, though it is beautiful and full of wonder, does not prove the Lord exists. That's something we have to take on faith. It does rather sound, Molly, like you don't have a lot of faith in yourself. think you could stand to have more.
I would have said the same thing. You know, a few days ago, 3 months living in a warm house, you know, the world looks like a better place. You start to, you know, have more trust in people, have more faith that things are going to work out, because things are working out. And then, you know, some of the people with money, with land, with fancy words in front of their names and fancy words at the end of the name, some of those people killed my brother. Just like those people have been killing our people for as long as any of us can remember. And, you know, if he wakes up from the grave he's lying in right now, then that'd convince me that things can change. Sure. So, you know, if your mate, the Lord, can do that, bloody oath, excellent. But if that's not going to happen, then I'm sorry, but I'm just gonna go back to how things are, not how things could be.
Well, I unfortunately can't make any promises on behalf of the Lord. That's he works in mysterious ways as he chooses to. So, although I would say, I mean, he brought his son back. Not that we have seen that since.
All right. Well, I'll keep waiting for bated breath. But in the meantime, right now, I need money. And I need to get out of here. And I reckon the information I have is gonna help. And, you know, I could have run. I could have run by now. I was on the edge of town. I could have gone. Left everything behind. But I thought, yeah, all right. I thought maybe it's worth it. Maybe it's worth sticking around to save the people who no one else is going to save. Because, you know as well as I do that people started getting sick, that they didn't have the means to get themselves better.
Right.
So, yeah, that's worth something, in it, and you can just smooth things over, just enough that we get this thing sorted out, and I get enough to save my skin, and we go from there.
I'm not sure that the Lord can or will bring your brother back, Molly, as much as we would hope that he could. But I do think, with your help and his guidance, we can bring back a lot of people who, for want of maybe even a slightly different circumstance, could be very much like you and your brother. Because they don't have the means to look after themselves, and it's people like you, and people like me, who need to do that when other people won't.
What?
Perhaps together, we can bring all of them back. And do some good.
Yep.
From
get to it.
upstairs, you hit footsteps coming down, and Mrs. Parsons enters the study. Doesn't recognize Miss Radcliffe. I think you did cross paths previously, but now, like, removed from dresses and societal, just immediately kind of glazes over as like, oh, this is someone who was brought in here to run errands or similar. Approach you, Reverend, and say, Reverend, he's awake. He's awake. Please, if you come and check on him now.
But of course, yes, I will make my way up the stairs.
She leads you up into a room.
I would follow.
You
I don't want to pee on my own right now. Okay.
You're both through. She is distracted enough to kind of not stop you. As long as you don't draw too much attention to yourself, you can kind of just wander along and then stand behind. Assumed to be an aide or some sort to the
Even
Reverend.
then, I feel like I've just got the power that Baxter had with George in the inn. In the
You just don't say no. You don't take no for an answer.
I will click decline on the terms and conditions of polite society, and that makes things a lot easier.
The strongest power you could possess.
I probably like if there is a situation where, say, if the doctor's waking up, I might just turn around and say, "Molly, water," like just to kind of.
Yep.
Oh yeah,
sort
to
of
include
have
her
the
in.
kind of like, you know, bring water, bring food.
Yep. Okay.
Can do.
Perfect. You follow up Abigail up the stairs and into the master bedroom where Dr. Parsons is laid out. He has since been changed. He'd originally just like lied down for like he'd collapsed at his desk downstairs rather. He has been brought up and changed into like his sleeping clothes, and when you come in, he's hoisted himself up onto some of his pillows. A significant amount of the color is drained from his face, but he was only asleep for a day. Not long enough to really get like as gaunt as Molly did, or really feel the long-standing effects, and is already beginning to sort of pull himself out of his bed. He's already had a short moment with his wife, so as you come in, Reverend, he reaches out a hand towards you and goes to take yours, and says, "You're Miss Wentworth. Miss Wentworth. She found me in there in the dreams. I need a paper and pen now while it's fresh. I don't know how long this will last."
If there is some papers next to his bed, because I was looking over things, I will hand him paper and pen as quickly as possible. Or
he takes them and begins to scratch words onto the paper. Molly, as you come in.
Also, it pinned it. Don't worry, it's pinned. The fiance thing's pinned. I'm just
it's
good
not-
at
and we'll be returning.
compartmentalizing while people like telling me a thing. Because also, don't worry, the heels also pinned. The money thing also pinned. I have like a little corkboard of like shit I gotta get back to, but right now this.
It's all going back. Molly, as you come back in, or you have immediately. It is. So two things. One, you remember your own memories did fade, so it is probably important that he writes them down. Two, this is up to you how you interpret it. You have almost immediately taken off the dress and the nobility, and now the only way you're allowed in this room is if you bring water and bread for the people that like it's funny. It does get you in. You are invisible and through it. It is funny how quickly that veil can be pulled away, and you're right back where you were when you were a kid, serving the others. But you are within the room, standing at the foot and aware of the conversation that follows. So Dr. Parsons,
I wanna, if I can,
Yeah.
when you bring that in, just to turn and say, "Thank you, Molly," and kind of try and give a look of like, this is purely for disguise. I do not like, I'm still looking at you as an equal, or as someone that like is a person. I am not looking at you like an object, and I'm trying to make that clear in that moment.
Yeah, Dr. Parsons and Abigail definitely disregard you, at least out of the gate until it's reminded. So it's Dr.
I say
Parsons.
with my eyes, hey,
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 hey, I see you.
you may as well. I'm like, okay. I'm just here long enough
Yeah.
for you to talk my way back in so I can leave. That's the vibe I'm given. Just so we
rest.
got that understanding.
It's the, I have given you a reason to be in this room because you should be in this room, but we have a society we have to work within, and unfortunately this is the only thing I can do in this exact moment to make sure that it works for both of us.
This is an intense like eyebrow
Yeah,
conversation.
there's a whole little pew, passes back and forth.
The main thing was like, I'm looking at you like a human, not an object, and that's the most important thing for like.
Well, that's very kind of you.
In the like, I know what this could look and feel like, and I don't want you to feel that way.
So
I feel nothing.
Dr. Parsons writes down, as he goes, because the last thing I remember was studying the ichor downstairs. I rested my eyes for a moment, and then it all shifts. It strains the memory. It truly was like a dream. I remember bits and pieces. I'd shift from one sense to another. It was a blasted land. This sharp rock studded with glittering jewels or something similar, and plunging forth from the stone there came these tall, immense trees that spread across the land. I remember being hunted constantly. I remember the feeling that I was being pursued. I was being chased by something. It wanted me to know it was there, but I don't know. It shifted in and out, never constant. There were others there in this space, but unremarkable. No, the one thing that I Miss Wentworth found me, and when I was in her presence, when I spoke to her, it was as if this was real, as if I was there. She took me to a place on a hill. There was a structure. It was old, and there were drawings all throughout it, but it was as if I didn't focus on them. They just existed in the peripheral, but this place was holding something back. I felt like I was walking on eggshells constantly. We went through the woods. Something attacked us. She slew it, drove it back. It was repelled, and then we came to find the pool that you spoke of, Miss Radcliffe, that you mentioned, the silver liquid that you drank. Pauses for a moment, looking at you closer there. We drank from it, but before then it was as if something was breaking the sky, as if something was calling me through, and the other things that were here. We drank the liquid. I remember feeling unwell, and then I woke up. The liquid's the key to it, and the liquid brought me back, but your Reverend, I'm sorry, your fiancée was trapped in there too. She was with me when I came to the pool, and she was far more cognizant of the area than I was, but well, we should speak with her immediately. We should find her, see that she's well. Should send word.
Yes, of course. Thank you, Doctor, for your recounting.
I
That
felt
is most helpful.
it's a remarkable thing to have a feeling that I felt that we were cattle. The sheep, the Cuthbertsons keep, the lambs turned to mutton and then to meat on your plate. I felt rather like that. Herded into this place and then plucked to be fed to something. I can't shake the feeling that, well, we like to think we're so important and so grand in God's eyes, but there we were, little more than rabbits, fleeing wolves in the woods.
This is a strange question, and I'm sorry for asking it, and it is absolutely fine if you do not have a sense, but you said that it felt like there was something being contained and something breaking the sky. Did you get the sense that, much like us, needing sustenance to grow stronger, that was the purpose of you being there?
We're being... things need to consume to grow. Must take a great amount of strength to free oneself from however one is imprisoned. If we're being drawn in, and before I slept, the notes I took, more are dying. I found no means of their death, but each laugh, they giggle taunted before they die, and then they just give out, as if that intangible spirit is now dead. before the body dies. There. This is more your realm, Reverend Jennings, than mine, and I mean that both as a man of God and as a man who has, by your own account, tread between worlds. I was here in the physical. My spirit was elsewhere. That is what was hunted. It had no desire for my flesh. It needed only my soul.
Well then, if it is a spiritual danger we face, I see no better way of tackling such an adversity than with spiritual means.
He gets up and, like, almost shakily heads towards the window, and draws the curtains have been closed down to try and let him rest as easily as he could during the day. Draws them away, and you can see now that the sun has set, and the rain is coming down in just a torrent of water. By the time you'd arrived, Molly, it was heavy and the ground was turning to mud. Thick clouds obscure the sky, and in the distance to the south, you can see a peal of lightning that rolls down from the clouds to strike the ground. And a few beats later, the roll of thunder that sort of like rolls through Tarryford. As the Reverend looks, as the Doctor looks out past it, he can't help but shake the feeling, and he voices it. Things are drawing to a close. That gap was widening. Things were coming through, and I'm afraid we don't have much time.
Afraid I must agree with you, Doctor. If you'll excuse me, I think it best I find my fiancé.
Yes, I think that would be wise. If you'd help me for a moment, just to recount these things, inform me what's happened while I was away, get my affairs in order, and then, if there's a break, we'll fetch a carriage and have you brought to the Pottertons' estate. This is no weather to be walking in.
Of course.
He's going to set himself, and the three of you sort of have a short period where you just kind of reconcile the information. Is there anything further that you want to draw out from him? And Jackson, I guess, what is Molly doing throughout the situation? Are you kind of standing back a little bit? Are you...
Yeah, not getting too involved. That's been my mistake so far, getting too involved. Yeah, you just kind of... Molly's got to, like, grease the wheels toward her exit.
A lot of wheel allegories or metaphors or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Are these wheels
true.
on or off, Jackson?
They're off, and we're trying to, like, lube up the road so they can keep on rolling out of the situation, even though they've come off the
like
cart.
the curling, like the fervent brush
yeah.
strokes on ice to try and keep
That's
everything.
it.
Yeah.
Actually,
Nice save,
yeah,
nice save.
Lubricate the road for the carriage's broken wheels is a great
right.
motto for something.
That's exactly what's
Someone
going
put that
on.
in Latin. That's going to be Molly's house motto when she does, in fact, become,
Noble.
nobility.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
And so
Loop the wheels.
getting
Okay.
yeah, and getting too involved with the Doctor at this point would be like, inviting someone else to try to drive the carriage.
Yeah.
Which is a complication she just doesn't need. So she's just trying to, like, keep a low profile until, we can reunite with George and Emma.
Yeah.
And then go from there.
Figure out what to do from there. You've got your own copies of the two symbols that you've discovered. You've also got the third from... Well, actually, you never saw the third one. It was drawn out after you. So you've got the two. The one in the forest and up in the north.
which I have not revealed until
No.
I can, obtain suitable recompense.
No, totally understood. So I'm gonna leave the two of you here for a short period while you speak with the doctor, get some affairs in order. There's also a period after he woke before he summoned you, while he just spoke with his wife. All of this cunning trap through which I will recollect my scattered investigators to me. So George and Emma, the two of you travel into town in Mr. Potterton's carriage. George, you originally had intended to head down towards the woods. My understanding is that you have decided to accommodate company, there's the word I'm looking for, Miss Wentworth, to also meet back up with the Reverend. And because also the doctor kind of said, like, hey, find me and let's figure this whole thing out.
I think
I'm probably also not in great shape, like stability-wise. Just like people waking up from the sleeping sickness have been pretty weak for just like physiological, they haven't eaten or drunk reasons. But like I am on the edge. I am unraveling swiftly.
There is
leaving me alone to go into town is probably bad
idea. But George, do you have first aid, or do either of you have like first aid or medicine or a similar skill above base? I would even psychology would probably get me a little something.
I've got psychology. I could do a little self-reflection.
Yeah, you want to see what's going on? Do you have anything here, Jim, that could give a bonus? Or
I have the standard in first aid. I have no medicine, although I do have some natural philosophy, which isn't applicable here. The reason I've been fooled for so long by Molly is because I have such low psychology.
Yeah, 100%.
I've actually got a little bit of first aid for some reason.
Okay. Yeah. In that case, Could you do first aid for me, please? And you know what? Sorry. Do take. George, are you? I guess what are you doing to this? Are you distracted by the previous things? Are you tending to Miss Wentworth? Are you?
I think that part of the reason that I was sort of wanting to go into the woods was because basically George was just flailing, had no idea what to do, and was a little bit ashamed. Having now a focus on somebody that he can help probably means he's fallen into a little bit of just like the same kind of follow along mentality. So yeah, I'll be helping Miss Wentworth, trying to do whatever I can. I have 30 in first aid, which I do believe is relatively base, but if that can apply.
That's base.
Yeah, I will. Please do take a bonus dice on this. Alex, this is more in ties to your previous assistance with Miss Radcliffe. So you do have some experience. So Alex, you can do a first aid test with a bonus dice.
And I'm also aware that I am in a bit of pain, and I'm starting to regret not deliberately smushing my little beanie thing.
Little bean.
No.
Okay. All you are quite focused in on the pain. It has settled somewhat, but it's kind of like a deep desire to like vomit, but then that's been quelled, but you just have the feeling like it's gonna come back. You're now sitting there with like cold sweat a bit, your stomach on edge, and every time the carriage sort of rattles along like a pothole or a rock in the road, you like just pray that this desire isn't gonna resurface. You're handling it, but you're not well. The rain is...
It's like being in the Uber home after a really big night out.
It's exactly that. It's exactly that. The rain is hammering down all around you, and the horses before you are slick with wet. Mr. Potterton, you have the reins under your own control, and in the back, I would assume you've stowed some of your supplies, being weapons, lanterns, shovels, torches, handy investigator sorts of things.
Yeah, I've got the go bag out. Very briefly, I was actually present during the autopsy in which I saw something emerge from one of the Waker's bodies. If you've communicated any of your nausea to me, or have heard the sound of gagging, is there potentially? I went through Parsons' notes pretty effectively. We didn't actually settle on anything where it's like, drink a solution of vinegar and lye to get rid of this thing. No, damn.
Nope, nothing ever seemed to really handle it. Genuinely, what kind of comes to mind a little bit is that this was the difference. Is Miss Wentworth imbibed it, like drank this ichor, like a big slug of it, whereas others have like come into like touch with it or otherwise. I think she may just have more of it in her.
I know exactly what I've done wrong here.
Will do.
I'm quite aware of the potentially fatal mistake I've made, but that's a future problem.
Yeah, we'll deal with that when it happens. The two of you arrive in Tarryford as pretty much no one else is out in the streets, and you can travel straight to Dr. Parsons' surgery. As you arrive, you see some smears in the mud where someone else has come and arrived, and lights on in the door in the window above. Looking just through it, you'll just make out the shape of someone like over a desk writing notes. The two of you can knock, and soon after will be received. Very aware that it is technically the Parsons' house, but I think they are distracted by being alive, and they're doing their own thing. So, Reverend, once again, I'll pass it to you to receive them. And I'll also just say, you seeded early on in one of our sessions, you wanted to purchase something in town. The time has come for that to be retrieved, and if you wished to have done so, you could have done it during your free time this last day.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, I will have retrieved it. We might find out what that is if and when people survive.
Yeah. Okay.
But yes,
I
I have.
Perfect. Just before we set the scene here, what I want to know is, Jackson, Molly, are you going to be right by the door when it opens? Do you get your gun? Do you sneak out around and steal the carriage, heading back for the Potterton estate? It's vulnerable. He's not there.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, you're going to roll stealth to get out the back window.
I think I'll go to the woods, actually.
It like plays out in Molly's head in all the detail that she would need. And then she goes, no, yep, we can do that tomorrow.
Also,
if
you
need be.
did just hear that Emma killed one of the dream beast things.
Well, yeah.
So these nobles are slightly less helpless, and you did also watch her knock your brother out of the saddle with a single shot. So
yeah. But it's more just
I don't know if
yes, that sounds like an escape route, but no, I shall wait. I shall be in the drawing room.
Okay, so as the door opens, the Reverend...
In case, I want Reverend to handle this. Basically, I came to the Reverend
and
first,
then you can
I
be
know
seated.
That he'd be good to I guess, if I had to come up with a metaphor on the fly, I'd say grease the wheels of getting me back into the group.
Perfect. So then, as what happens is, as the two of you are standing in the entrance, the doorway opens, once again received by a member of staff. They call out, and the Reverend comes through. Miss Parsons is upstairs with her husband. Reverend, you will receive the two, and in the adjacent drawing room, just out of sight, Molly is seated, able to listen and interject when she wishes. So I'll leave you on screen, but I'll pass it across to the four of you to handle it.
I mean, probably the first thing I'm going to do is take two very quick steps towards Miss Wentworth, grab her hand and go, "Oh, Miss Wentworth, I'm so incredibly glad that you are awake, and seemingly... What happened? Mr. Potterton, do either of them look particularly disheveled? What am I looking at right now?"
What did the two of you look like?
I look bad.
Yeah,
it's very well.
Like I mean, it's very much the look of somebody in an Uber after a big night out. It's the flop sweat and I cleaned myself up, but I'm clearly not. It ain't good. There's a skittishness there too. I'm stopping myself from looking at the skies in the direction of the North Lake Estate. I am waiting for terrible winged things to come piercing through some terrible tear in reality.
I'm going to say I probably don't need a psychology roll to realize that my fiancé is unwell, and to ask the staff to please perhaps fetch the doctor if he is able to be brought downstairs.
He can be
the
brought
doctor
down.
knows exactly what's wrong with me. The doctor should rest. The doctor's awake. The doctor's awake.
Doctor is
Sam,
awake.
the doctor's awake.
It did work then?
It worked.
I would very much like if you would come into the drawing room with me and tell me what happened. Also, I will kind of walk in the direction, and as we get to the room of the door of the drawing room, I would
carrying
also
some equipment at this time to help it into the room.
I would like to say I would also like to introduce Miss Molly to the two of you who will be assisting us. She has agreed to continue to help the good people of this town wake up. And I will give both of you a look of actually not George. George is whatever. I'm gonna look at Emma and just give her a look of, please trust me. I might even just look at her and actually say quietly, please trust me.
Oh, I trust you. That's not the problem here.
I understand. I do. But your health and well-being currently are my primary concern. Please, Mr. Potterton,
I think I stand stock still, holding like the luggage that I was carrying in for way too long, kind of just completely silent for a bit, not doing like a still face or anything, kind of lovely lounge, entertaining. It's the awnings.
We don't have time for this. This is all those. I'm gonna like glance around, make sure that the servants aren't in earshot.
Presently.
I mean, I'm
doctor
gonna
and
like
his wife are
fully
upstairs.
sit you down on the couch with like things to make you comfortable, and then be like, tell me everything. I'm gonna get out a pen note, be like, nah.
It's the New Northlakes. It's the cousins. It's them. They're doing this.
What exactly?
We started something last year. We started something, and they're doing something. They're making it worse. I think the sleeping sickness is their fault. I think they're doing that, but worse, they're trying to open a door or something to the dreamland, to the place where the sleepers go. And they're succeeding, and they've nearly done it, and we need to get over there now. We need to get over there right now. We need to stop them. There are terrible, terrible things on the other side there, and they're going to come through. They're almost through.
All right. You're going to need to tell me more about what they're doing, because if we don't know what they're doing, we cannot stop them. Although
I don't know what they're doing. I think it has something to do with what the Northlakes have been doing
Dave,
for centuries.
Yep.
And
do I know? They sort of told me.
Yeah.
Because they were like, we're trying to do, like, they didn't tell me specifically, but like, we're trying to do this thing and we kind of want your help. And I went, sure.
Yeah.
Because they were talking about like opening something, and the fact that I had been through a rift, kind of interest. Like, I don't think I passed that on to the group, that they'd had that conversation with me, and that I was sort of like kind of tacitly going, okay, I'll help you with this, because they were the ones who told me about the ritual.
Yeah.
Am I able to put anything together from knowing?
They were pretty blatantly interested in rituals and things. Their general stance
They wanted to
was
recruit you.
they were very much like, things happen. We'd rather be in control of those things than let
That's
those
the
things
one,
happen.
yeah.
Without if the to continue our wheelless carriage metaphor that is well and truly fucked.
You don't have
Stuck
ground
in
to
a
a
ditch.
halt by this point, but
No,
for some
this-
reason just keeps rolling.
So the wheels fall off, and that's where Molly's story continues. Back on the caravan, it's sliding down a hill and is gonna do damage. The Northlakes are of the mind that they'd rather be on it, trying to steer it, than just let
Then
it
it's
crash
off.
into whatever it crashes. Like, may as well try and bring it to a halt or get it under control, or use it for your own nefarious means. But you don't quite know their agenda yet, but they do seem to be trying to take control over it rather than just letting it run its course.
On that note, as a slight rider, I probably managed to stutter out. We don't know if they're the source of the original. We don't know if they're just riding on the problem, or whether they're the only thing causing it now. I think that the information we have about the ritual might still be our best way to try and stop it. Or I don't know. Perhaps it's just get to them and they can elucidate us to the exact solution.
Whatever they're trying to do to use this, they're using it to their advantage to the detriment of everybody here, to the detriment of everybody.
I think I will like mention the conversation that I had with them and say I don't think they are the cause
No, I think
of
we
whatever
were.
is happening, but I don't think we were either. I think perhaps this goes much, much further and much, much deeper to the roots of the tree, the ancestral tree of the Northlakes. Regardless, they are trying to, by the sounds of it, manipulate it to their own ends. I agree, we need to put a stop to it. I'm at a loss. I don't know what to do.
We're running out of time. We have to do something. I think we have to go there. I think we have to.
Do we go there, or do we go and meet them somewhere else.
Miss.
I think I'm going to have to go back there anyway. I think
Miss-
I may have messed up.
We were running into player character knowledge again. Have I heard about the ritual in this conversation? Put that together.
I think I did.
You were there. That was when you guys all split up. Was after the North Lakes, because that was
At the
so
very
you.
least.
So
Maybe
Reverend
called
came
me
out
up.
and like you guys had that like chat of like, oh, those you met the cousins. You were there for that. There was the discussion
also
of like, oh, the
talked
Reverend
about
went and spoke
the
with them a
cardinal
bit.
points.
Yeah.
We've definitely spoken about the cardinal points. The
Right.
the hill in the middle. The fact that this was all.
Yeah, and you'd
Like,
heard the ritual, the Tuliri, like the
That's what I
hand
wanted to
out and
know.
everything. So yes, you're across all of that.
Because otherwise you
So-
wouldn't have known about the symbols.
Yeah, I know. I bullshitted Dave with an intelligence roll to let the player knowledge bleed into character knowledge. It was
made it
some
work.
nonsense.
I
But we
think
got here.
in the scale of nonsense we've done, it was lower on the
That's
trail.
true.
We've done worse, and we will do worse.
I'd like to speak up and say, yeah, I reckon the ritual is probably the best chance. But you haven't
we
got all the
don't-
information.
We don't have. Yes.
But
We
my
have
count, I reckon you're missing at least 2 of the symbols that you need, and one of them you can't get because it was smashed, and 2 of them I happen to have in my pretty little head, and I reckon that's information that's going to save some lives, and I reckon those lives are worth something.
Molly, I know what you're asking for.
Good.
I would. If you want,
Reassurance.
if you want things to be different, you're going to have to show a little trust. If you help people, they will help you.
I'll take that as a promise then. Thanks very much.
Which 2 symbols do you know about?
North and the south.
That's the
Yeah.
Woods and the Sand Lake Farm, with the one on my family's estate that just leaves the church.
Stormy House.
Yes, Stormy
With the
House.
chapel in it.
One
Yeah.
under the Stormley Chapel.
That's what you see the crosswise. Just leaves Stormley House.
So I reckon if we've got those symbols and we've got the ritual, that gets us one up on the North Lakes, doesn't it?
It allows us to go to the place where all of this is being boiled, paired, as it were, and perhaps we can cut it off at the source.
I was about to say we could find it very difficult to get into the North Lakes directly for a variety of reasons, but if they're trying to open something, perhaps we can go in through that door they're opening, so to speak. We could.
Oh, sorry. I just want to remind you to one thing that your characters are aware of. A number of the locations you went to had evidence of people being there previously. The Potterton estate, there were people that were moving around with
that's
lanterns.
true.
Originally, it was believed that maybe in the Blistered Heels. Molly, you can confirm that that was not the case. Someone else has been there. There was also the Stormley House. They mentioned someone had come to visit, and even in the south, Meg mentioned that the cousins came to try and speak to her. You're not.
Yeah.
That said, Molly, you know for a fact the south one, no one was at that one.
Yeah, that's one that broke.
you untold that one. Same with the north one, actually.
No, I think you said the North one.
North one had
Yeah, sorry, no,
that
north.
someone
Sorry,
was
yes.
there.
What about yes, north? They
But the
had
south
pried it, but it
one-
wasn't broken. That was it. Yeah. The south one
But the
appears to
south
have been
one
So you're pretty sure that one at least is unique to you.
That's the one that no one else will ever know.
Hmm.
So
On the other hand, if we got 3 of them, does that help us? If we got 3 of them, does that help us? Find it in a book or a library or something?
I don't think so, but is there any reason why we can't go and get the final one from Stormley House?
I think
Just
that's
time.
the most sensible option.
Or
But
has it been removed? Was that what we were?
It was there when you were there.
It was so we know that they're underneath stones carved with the circle line symbol. And we found that circle line symbol
In the altar.
the lectern, the altar.
We just didn't investigate it further. We just didn't go underneath.
Just didn't.
Yeah,
you
well,
know,
people
demolish the
collapsed on you
chapel
pretty quick.
at the time.
It is approaching night. A storm is on the way, and already, I mean, Mr. Potterton, you're aware of the reputation cascade you're currently in. Calling upon them will be
for context.
Look,
Just well,
now?
I've mechanically been censored, so I'm playing a little bit like I'm gonna try and not get into places. But
Right now, your reputation is the highest it's gonna be for the rest of your life. That's another way to look at it.
exactly.
Just be positive, Jim. Just, you know.
I think that's a great way to think. So what I wanted to provide is I might say, I think Miss Radcliffe,
Molly.
if you know how to get, this feels like it might be within your wheelhouse. How do we get into Stormley House to find the symbol?
Yep, can do.
What do you need us to do?
Heat off. Distractions.
I think we can.
I guess need some way to get underground.
Is the Stormley House Asher?
No, it is Nathaniel Havering,
Who is asleep?
who is asleep.
And he had a sister or wife.
He has a wife, Susanna Havering.
Who
They have
we
no
kind
children.
of got off on a bad foot with the last time we were there.
Because you guys were they have quite a lot of staff. They're like nouveau riche. You guys went in and there was like a scream because Emma fainted. Molly half went into the dream. Everyone kind of got in there and went like, get out.
Too weird, get out.
But is it so? Because it was in a chapel. Is the chapel part of the house, or is it a standalone
It's
structure?
attached to the house, but it's on the side. Like there might be a back door or something.
Yeah, I'm just thinking we don't try and get into the main house. We just sneak into the chapel. I mean, Nathaniel's asleep, if not already dead, because I did find him and he was in bad shape.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he isn't waking up. Nathaniel isn't waking up. That's not... I'd be surprised if he was still asleep, actually. He might actually just...
Then
Were
perhaps
there-
dead.
Were there any separate
is...
buildings on that estate?
Yeah, there might be like there might be a storage thing, or maybe somewhere for staff to stay.
Look, nothing brings more attention away from one building than a fire in the next. Which is the road to which all RPG campaigns return to.
Yeah, really.
Amen.
I mean, I was going to suggest that, like, we have good reason to go and check, or, you know, we ask the doctor to provide some kind of, you know, note, whatever, that specifically
Doctor's
says
note.
we're acting on his... Yeah, doctor's note. To say that we're acting on his behalf because he is known to have been asleep, I think, at this point, and go and check on Havering because we've noticed that there's extra people who have fallen ill and or are dying, and we have come to Mrs. Havering with great concern on behalf of the doctor to ensure that our husband is still, you know, in a state of slumber and not the eternal kind. And I like play it as we are very concerned. Hello, yes, please pay attention to us while something else happens.
Yeah.
I actually agree with Miss Radcliffe here. I think a fire of some sense is good, but well, you know, I think if we know one thing about Miss Havering is that she's a relentless social climber.
Nope, that's the doctor's wife.
That's the doctor's wife. Susanna Havering is the
She's of nobility,
she's of
who
nobility.
But ran out of-
someone
I knew
who
that
Plumb
there was
out of
reputational
money.
elements there.
Yeah.
She's concerned with reputation, maintaining it the old ways, the forks and knives.
She's
and
a
the
little
crack spot and
she's
the-
a little embarrassed by her husband's rising up the ranks. She's very much trying to just, let's all forget about that and we're part of you now. Let's forget where we're with you guys.
Yeah.
At any rate, there's a delicacy there. I think that a reputational fire, I could loudly arrive and want to speak with them, and they all want to kick me out as quickly as possible. That's going to be far more important to them than a fire on one of the side buildings.
Well, you do have to remember that Mr. Havering did make all of his money in trade, and as such, possessions, things of wealth, objects are very important in the line of trade. So he may indeed, or his family may indeed have an attachment to such things, although he is in slumber. There is nothing stopping us taking more than one approach to this.
A fire is a good backup.
Right.
I think it's a lot
I'm
to
gonna
start with.
slap my knees and stand up. Well, I know what my job is,
Get the kerosene.
and we haven't got much time, so I think I'm just gonna get started and hope that you lot do yours.
So
Choose whatever method you like, as long as I can get in. That's all right.
Do you?
Jane,
Pick and my
Molly,
shovel. What
I
else do I
assume
need?
you were the one going. You will need to go in quietly to the chapel and find this symbol.
Yep, and then start breaking some stuff and smashing up some stone, having a big dig. Can be pretty noisy, pretty loud.
Someone should be with you in case you get caught in the feedback, the thing.
Oh well,
Okay.
I've
Then
done that
you
twice
and I,
now.
Reverend, we head for the door and we can...
Well, is there a reason that I also should be at the door to arrive loudly with? Like, I don't.
No,
follow.
I can do it. I can do it myself. That's perfectly
I
all right.
was potentially going to say, like, if I'm gonna get started on preparing the ritual, I'm gonna get started understanding what this thing is and what we need to do, because I have like the text that kind of explains it, but I would like to, like, I haven't really like looked at it and sort of tried to work out it's like trying to cook cook a pie when someone's gone, so I made a pie and I put some flour and some water and some eggs. They haven't given you the amounts. They haven't given you the exact instructions, but they've given you like the gist. But
It's a technical challenge
I have also
for my bake-off pals.
hand down instructions. Make dough. Thanks, Hollywood. Yeah, I have experience with mythos spellcraft already, so I am hoping that I have like the bones of the idea of how things sometimes go. I'm also very familiar with rituals in the religious sense, which have come because Christianity is just piggybacking off paganism from somewhere with rituals. So I'm trying. Yeah, can I do that, please?
yeah, you can bring some homework to work on in the car.
Yeah.
I mean, I was.
Are you gonna stay here if you want?
No.
Genuinely,
no, we need to stick together.
wherever I need to be in order to for this to be successful is where I'm going to go.
We may as well, or near the tavern. The doctor's office is just as good. We'll have to come back to Tarryford to do the ritual. Then we can leave you here, and we'll.
Because did we establish that the thing in the tavern was like the center font? Like
Yes.
that's where.
Here's today.
Great. Then
Also, getaway driver.
I can't.
Oh,
Carrot, no.
yeah.
I'm not the great. My dear, I have many skills and very few of them physical.
I guess.
So
Okay.
the plan, as I understand,
I'm-
is that Reverend's gonna
I'm
stay
going to go to
here.
the tavern because that is where the center is, but I will ask to use the back room if I may to take some time to do quiet study. I essentially, if asked, I'm going to be like, I've been at the doctor's all evening. I need a meal. I need something
George,
to drink.
you are aware, and you can share that the tavern has been closed per Ash's orders and is being barricaded up. Like, they are bricking it up. That was one of the outcomes of your meeting with him. So you will arrive there to find it sealed. That said, they're probably not there at night working on it, but they have started that process.
Okay, if in that case,
So
I
a light
it's
in there is
better.
going to be an issue.
Yeah, look, in that case, I will probably stay at the doctor's because it is near the tavern and work on the ritual there. Before Molly leaves, I will say,
Well,
Molly, do you now
Yep.
with the can I have the symbols?
suppose you're gonna need them. You,
And also,
you asked me
I
to
think-
put some. You asked me to put some faith out. You asked me to put some trust out, and so I'm gonna do it, Reverend. I'm gonna do it all on you, right? You got 100% of all my faith and all my trust. Because look, here's what you don't know. I was sticking my neck out to save the little Pottington kids, and who knows who else from getting hurt from the heels, and so I kept you and yours safe from mine. So yeah, you got my full trust and faith that you'll keep me and my from yours?
There are enough. Let's just say that being a person who takes the confessions means that people do have to listen when I say something.
Yeah. That's what I'm
Yours
doing.
are not the only. The Lord moves in mysterious ways.
I'm just saying you asked for faith and trust, and I'm giving it all to you.
And if in any way I break that trust, no intention of doing, but should that occur for any reason, then I understand if you act in a manner accordingly.
We're all understanding.
Okay. So, my understanding is as follows. Reverend is going to stay at Dr. Parsons and go over the ritual and apply the symbols to see what he can infer from them. Meanwhile, 2 strike teams will approach Stornley House in the dead of night, under the cover of rain.
Through din of knit.
Strike team front door. It consists of Mr. Potterton, who is going there, falling on his own sort of reputation and applying censure aggressively to be thrown out. This will not do wonders for your reputation, so just be aware of that. Also, when they realize that someone broke in and stole stuff, this is possibly like really screwing it.
Yeah.
But you know, maybe if it saves lives.
I'll tell you what,
important.
let's try the sneaky approach first.
Yeah.
I have enough stealth to give it a shot.
Strike team sneaky. Possibly consisting of Mr. Potterton now, is Miss Rowlands and Miss Wentworth, who will attempt to get into the chapel at Stornley House, open the canestone on the altar and find the symbol below. If necessary, they're bringing tools by which to light other things on fire. I think that's all correct. Before you leave, I want to break out into a couple of small things. Dr. Parsons is going to come down and can give you a doctor's note to excuse you from PE if you want, and to go and call upon the Haverings. So you can have that as an alternative option. He will also probably want to look at you, Emma. So we might play that out in a briefly. I also think that given Reverend and Miss Wentworth will find a time to reconvene, I think Molly and George are at least going to find that like you're both loading up
Sorry,
the
guys.
carriage together or something at one point. And I just say in the context of Molly, like, yeah, your reputation is in, you know, massive downfall from now. Also, you know, I mean, she said that she looked out for your siblings, but kind of put them in danger. At the very least, how do you put this to rest briefly? So I think we'll start there as the two of you are out at the carriage, loading some of your supplies on in the rain. Pass to the two of you.
What about other members of your association? Are there any others that need... Are there any other resources we could draw on there, or...?
No.
Are there no others, or are they just not in a position to?
They don't want to.
Don't want to help.
They got a bit ticked off when I said they couldn't kidnap any young kids. They got a bit ticked off when their leader of 10 years was shot and stabbed to death. So they got a bit ticked off, and they're not really pleased with the situation overall.
That's understandable.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
Thank you for telling them not to take children. That can't have been easy for you to orchestrate.
Nah, because they're just wild savages, aren't they? It's wild animals. They just need a big, strong hand to bring them in. You know, they can't help it. It's just the way they are.
Is it? Uh, I. How is your relationship with them?
Ask me that question again tomorrow. Give you a more informative answer. First, we've got to get out of this.
Yeah. I'm sorry that their leader, I, I, I did not mean to hurt him.
No.
I'm not a very good fighter.
You're exactly what your slice the world made you. Just like I am.
I suppose that's true. If we have
Well-
that in common, then I imagine you have just as many constraints on you as I do. And thank you for moving the dance in whatever way you can towards protecting my younger siblings.
Yep. Oh yeah, they've still got choices, ain't they?
We have an objective for now. I yield to your expertise here.
But my expertise is that the carriage is loaded.
Okay. Let's get it up there.
Slam the hatch and ready to depart.
I can confidently declare that that ain't going nowhere. It's the tradition.
You
Once
have
you've-
to, otherwise it would have absolutely
Otherwise it'll-
fallen
otherwise
off.
You
it
can fit
will.
so many investigators in this.
It's so many
I
explosives.
don't know what we're
in
loading
this.
up. It's just like the digging equipment, I guess.
Yeah,
Something to
I
burn.
bought out
Equipment?
Captain Stone's whole back catalogue at the auction, so
Fantastic.
it's every little bit that he would have thought was remotely useful.
Generally, with that in mind, Jimmy, you guys are armed to the teeth. Actually, I might once you. Let's do it when you arrive. I'm probably going to get you to flag if you're carrying weapons and not like because it's pretty open if you're carrying rifles and sundry. That said, you have available to you rifles, shotguns, pistols, swords. You can choose
heck.
whichever you want and jam on your sheet. Noting fighting sword is a different skill, but you can get a knife very freely. If you want pistols, you are free to carry like 2 of them, so you can do a quick bang, drop, bang. What?
I got 40 in handgun.
Ah, hell yeah! Get yourself
Which,
a
you
gun,
know,
mate.
I must have known at the start of the campaign, but
Forgot.
having not been allowed to carry my pistols for 3 months, seem to have forgotten it. So that's great news.
Get yourself a little gun ski. You possibly could have retrieved your gun from the camp too, Molly. You might have your
That's
own
true, yeah.
piece that you keep on you.
And no, I couldn't have gotten Arthur's. Presumably had
Unless
one.
George brought it for some reason. I think
If
Arthur's
there
might
is
be.
some conceivable way I can have 2 guns,
I
would
know
like to have 2
the
guns.
reason why you might have Arthur's, George, which is you might be planning to bring it to Asher to show him that
Sure.
like this is the brigand's weapon that he drew on me, and that is why I defended myself.
Yeah, I was also planning to go into the woods. Potentially, I could have brought the weapon as well then. So I think I might have it. In which case, honoring the fact that we're being very matter of fact about this, I probably loaded it up just in sight of you so that you could take it as desired.
Let's do it.
All right, fantastic.
Nice.
Last thing we'll do before departing is checking in on you, Miss Wentworth, and with the Reverend present will be Dr. Parsons. He comes out. He looks like very tired, but honestly, he's probably the only person in this whole scenario who maybe just benefited from having an hour's from having a day's sleep, and is kind of like he's come out of this neutral. He's like, I do feel more rested. It was hellish. I do feel more rested, and I don't know how to reconcile that in my head. He comes down and he comes to you and he says, I am in your debt, Miss Wentworth. I shan't bandy words about it. You have saved me this night. I am keenly aware of this, and through your actions and those of your fiancé, I return to my wife and my practice. Anything you ask for, I'll make sure it's done.
Care for this town as you have been. We are all in your debt as much as anything else.
Can you do anything for my fiance at this time?
Let me look. How did you come to enter the space? Was this incidental
No,
as mine and
no.
as others, or?
No, I meant to do it. There was a ritual. Sam can tell you more about it. And
Oh, I see.
we did part of it. I did a small part of it.
What have you done?
Which is why I think I was so
You drank
present.
the
So
ichor
yes,
voluntarily,
yes, and we did the bit with the
turning away
with the blood. We did that bit, and I drank the ichor, and I think that was why I was so present and able to hold myself in place as needed.
Miss Wentworth, if I might be so forward, you've proven yourself of former constitution than many of your peers. I'll not bandy words. You have drank what others have incidentally touched. Through my surgical analysis, I have found these traces of the black substance inside them still. Your friend, Miss Radcliffe, I believe still has some minute amount of this inside her. I believe I do too. What has crawled inside my mouth while I slept or slipped inside through my skin.
Well,
you have
I think
significantly
you might actually be
more.
okay, Doctor, because when you drank the water, something crawled out of your mouth, exploded out of it, really, and then I smushed it with a rock.
I
water
remember
cleanses.
vomiting something, expelling humors.
And then I smushed it with a rock.
I will admit.
So I think you might be okay. I think Molly might be in trouble also. I definitely am. I definitely didn't smush the one that came out of me.
I admit no expertise in this manner. To my understanding, there is a physical component of this in this world that has come inside us. Perhaps, yes, quelling it in the other has banished it from my person, my stomach. Truthfully, I believe I may still have it within me, only deceased, as we would be if our soul was drawn from the other world. You, Miss Wentworth, I can see your pallor. I believe you are unwell, and I believe you may soon need to release that substance. I can attempt to bring this about now.
Oh.
There is a risk that comes with this. I'm not suggesting I believe certain tonics can, relieve the stomach in a healthy manner.
Emetics. Oh, hang on. Is it emetic or is it? Yes, emetic is for, I believe,
Diabetic.
vomiting. Expectorant, I think, is for coughing, or the other way around.
Okay.
You remember when I did that weird, played a doctor for like 2 years?
Still taking up
of
space. Okay.
Yeah, did a lot of.
Emetics
There's
a
still a
great
lot of
way.
like weird
I'll use
medical
that.
knowledge from the 1890s up in there.
Allow me to prepare you. Perhaps allow me to prepare you a tincture that you
Yes.
can take at your own prerogative. I will warn you, as with all of this, treat this with caution. This is a poorly understood a realm of philosophy.
Dr.
We
Parsons,
need to. Yes.
Could I ask that you prepare 5?
I can do so. I believe I might have the tools on hand. This is, unfortunately, rather similar to the apothecary's trade. There's more base
I
repulsion, but
understand.
I, as the more practiced and studied in my craft, you'll note the degree, can do so with expertise that my lesser cannot.
I suspect that before this night is through,
We all may need
all
it.
of us may need to imbibe such ichor and some form of expectorant, emetic, would be beneficial to have on hand, and I cannot think of someone more learned or more studied or more capable of providing something that is going to work very effectively.
Give
So as a
me.
safety precaution, should this need to happen, I would like to ask you, as you said you're willing to assist us, to make 5 such things if you can, 4 if you cannot.
It will only be a matter of the components. Give me some short time. I will attend to this and return shortly. Finish storing your supplies, and by the time you're finished, I should have something ready. I'm going to make a roll for him, and then it's going to determine how many he has.
And I'm so sorry. At the risk of immediately throwing more spanners into works, why don't we?
Like
if we want to deal with this, you could stay behind, and I could go with Jane, and we just split like that. That way you can deal with that while okay.
No, the 5. I'm asking for 5 because I want to give 2 to Emma. 1 for if what she's currently undergoing is too much right now, and she needs to get rid of it because I expect we're all doing this again.
We're gonna have to go back.
So if Emma needs to drink more,
Sure.
but like regardless, Emma's going to need to potentially purge twice. The rest of us should hopefully only need once. That's essentially what I'm banking on.
Okay.
Am I able to assist the doctor with like if he needs more supplies going and trying to find them?
That would take longer. I'm gonna make a roll now. Even on a failure, he's producing 1. I'm gonna scale it from success and onwards to get more. You can then, in the time before the others return, Reverend, you might go and seek the apothecary and gather more supplies. This is not a skill issue. This is just a things to hand. I'm gonna make a roll for him now. It's just gonna be a straight roll. Chow, all of red. Yep, all of red. He can produce 1 tonic. Unfortunately, he has
is a
no
skill
further.
issue.
It is a skill issue. You don't have more of it.
We can figure the rest out later.
I'm excited for someone to succeed this session.
Yeah. I will ensure that Emma has that 1, and then if depending on how long all of this takes, can assist the doctor in getting more supplies.
Yeah.
Or research the ritual, or both if we have enough time.
100%.
That's my plan, is to just help with the preparations.
Done. Miss Emma, you have this on your person. You can choose to take it whenever you so wish.
If it gets
And Miss
bad, I'll
Potterton,
take
you
it.
still have some medicinal accelerants.
Excellent. Happy to be ready to stim stuff up.
Woo! Okay. With that, I believe everyone is ready to depart. Onwards.
Heck yeah.
Into that dark and stormy night. Okay. The 3, Miss Rowlands, Mr. Potterton, and Miss Wentworth, return to the caravan. Carriage.
Just for funsies, Ipecac is at least the 1890s mythic.
Classic.
I only know that from Binding of Isaac,
Yeah,
where it is an
that's-
item that makes you throw vomit.
Well, that's literally what it does.
I'm pretty sure it's that one. It's the poison attack one.
Yeah, it is. Ipecac was a real thing that was used as an emetic in the late 1800s. I think for like into the early 1900s. We're talking about a time where like arsenic was still considered to be medicinal in certain volumes. Mercury was used. They had discovered that I think it was like chlorine.
Basically back when
which-
doctors were still doing cool shit and willing to take risks.
Well, they
I'll
were,
say
they were
it.
going
They were still
like,
putting
I'll say
cocaine and heroin and stuff.
oh yeah, sorry, I forgot about all of the like the cocaine
The
and the
Class A
heroin. and
drugs,
the,
yes.
The laudanum, my
Yeah.
my favorite of all the ridiculous things that they used to have. There's multiple like recipes for that. The one that the doctor used was Rousseau's specifically because it was honey and it was going to taste better. Yep. Anyway,
Science.
continue.
Can't wait for them to look back on what we're doing today and go, what the fuck was this?
They physically stabbed you with a piece of metal to stop you getting
Barbaric.
diseased.
Barbaric. All right.
Now we simply think really hard about it.
Ooh. Psionics only.
Yeah, it's all an advanced form of Reiki.
Okay, our heroes, or 3 of them at least, rally their little butts onto the... What
I'm
is the
not a
word I'm
hero,
looking for?
it's fine.
Not caravan. Carnival.
Carriage.
Carriage.
Jason 4?
Yeah, onto the
No.
carriage.
That would be too small.
4 wheels attached, hawsers still stowed, and head out towards Stornley House. Behind them, the Reverend remains to continue his research and hopefully find some further understanding to the strange ritual and the ties to the Ica. Outside, the storm continues, and towards the south, you actually can't make out so there's no light pollution or anything because a lot of dim candles and similar things, and normally on a cloudy night you'd be able to see all the way further down, from a high, as you ride up towards Stirling House, you could see out along the woods, and even on a particularly clear day catch North Lake Estate, even though the lights on it in the distance. Tonight, under this heavy rain, you are unable to make it out. You have no indication of what's going on down there. Occasionally you see thunder roll through, but it's obscured behind just these sheets of water and thick concrete clouds that completely blot out the moon. Your own travel is done pretty much in the dark and along slippery, muddy roads with a couple of lanterns dangling along on your side, just barely throwing out a small pool of light. You make the trip in hardly record time. By the time you're arriving, it is well and truly past supper, past an appropriate hour to be awake, let alone calling. You bring the carriage in and parking it very similarly to where you did when you called upon them. Seems like so long ago, but it's only a few short days. You can from here on make the approach on foot. So Stornley House is very similar to the other estates you've seen. It's a bit older, as it was inherited through Susanna's side and then kind of uplifted, so it has good bones that have then been augmented by fresh money. It's actually a pretty good combination for them. So it's got good solid land, and then they've begun to uplift everything. You can see a little fleet of carriages, and there is a stable for horses nearby. They have a respectable staff. Once again, no stationed guards with guns out the front or anything. They have no reason to. Although that said, once the brigand story begins to spread further, they might begin that. But there will be staff, the kitchen light is on as someone prepares the bread for the morning to rise and things like that. And up on the second story, you can see a light on in what is to be Nathaniel Havering's room, where his wife probably tends to him and keeps an eye on him as he continues to slumber. The chapel is an attached section, and I don't know if there was a role made, but you can see it's one of the older parts of the building too. It's clearly been around for yonks and yonks and yonks and yonks and yonks. It has a number of I don't know if stained glass windows is appropriate to this chapel, but nice windows at the very least, with those lead lined sections, so it won't be easily broken. And while there is a door off to the side, it is undoubtedly locked. I pass the approach and your chosen supplies to the three of you.
We're under cover of storm. Does that mean we sneak or?
Yep, nice and quiet around the back.
Okay, let's do it.
Well, you're going to go in the front, aren't you?
I think perhaps it's better for me to just sneak along. I'll swoop in if I need to cause a distraction, but with this much happening, maybe we could just get it done.
Let's get it done.
Okay.
Dave, I roll to get it done.
Okay. Before you do so, how many weapons are you guys bringing? You guys loaded up?
Enough.
I'm bringing the shoddy
Okay.
bunny.
You guys are visibly
Nice.
armed, is
Nice.
what I'm saying here. They open that door on you in the chapel. You're breaking in with weapons into their house. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
I will not be armed, and my intention is to basically stand in to try and zip in if something bad happens that's going to cause a distraction or something like that.
Okay.
Hi.
Yep.
Can I have 2 rifles?
If you want.
Can I, sorry, just very quickly, can I retcon a tiny little thing in that makes absolutely no difference whatsoever?
Yeah, hell yeah.
As Emma is heading out and getting into the carriage, I just want to pull something from my bag and hand it over to you. I was going to give this to you a little later, but perhaps it will be more useful now than then. And it's a wax paper wrapped
Bundle of TNT? Bundle of TNT?
Oh, wouldn't that be lovely? It is.
No.
Yeah, no. It is a rectangular paper, wax paper wrapped string that I hand to you. which you can open now or in the garage.
I'm going to open it now. I'm looking at the Reverend.
It is
Yes,
a
all
book.
right.
It's a book on like husbandry,
Explosives?
which was the specific like we talk about animal husbandry, but husbandry was just the like concept of what a man did in the field, and it does have a bunch of information about the care of rifles and like weaponry and how best to sort of look after them to like make sure that they're in good working condition so that they function well for you in whenever. And it is just also utterly not appropriate for a lady.
I was gonna say that.
Yeah, completely not appropriate, and just goes, possibly nothing, but not helpful at all, but I thought you might have it.
It's just the kind of man the Reverend is. Won't shoot anyone, but will gladly
Exactly.
give you a book about how to shoot
Gladly
people.
make sure that if need be, somebody in the house certainly can.
And also is like, you have an interest in this,
Yes.
so I'm going to try and
I'm going to
help?
nurture it. Yes.
yeah.
With I guess the wax paper and the string kind of falling to the floor. Emma's gonna hold the book to her chest, and they do take quite a long time to reload, and I think I could probably be quicker at it. And thank you.
Stay safe.
Mm.
I'd rather all of us came out of this, but I'd rather you most of all.
Likewise.
Break into the church.
Cutting back to the present, Miss Wentworth on the ride over, you kind of made some preparations. So you're just getting through the book again. A lot of it you do know that, but this goes into greater detail on such things. If you wish, you can bring a second rifle. This is definitely approaching like I've got a lot of shit on me territory. So you've got like two bandoliers over your shoulder. As sure as it'll probably be like a full action to like swing out across and get the second gun. But I tell you what, it's a fair sight faster than 4. So we're definitely improving things.
Basically, I would love to just have that whole reloading process.
Yep, hell yeah. Okay. Apart from that, as I understand, you guys are carrying pistols and knives and similar things. Is anyone not? Basically, Miss Potterton, you're not.
Well, Mr. Potterton's
not me.
yeah.
Okay, you're gonna run interference if needed. And Molly, you got a couple pistols and a knife.
Yeah.
Okay.
And whatever else you give
Yeah.
me.
Okay. All right. Well, in that case,
I feel like George would
yours-
also have a lantern and some flint just in case Plan C burn a building down.
Okay.
Becomes a necessity.
Really
what I probably preempt is I grab a bottle of liquor or something to play the
as a
standard
gift.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right. Under the cover of darkness, the three of you dart across the field. For now, no stealth tests are going to be needed. The rain comes down heavily, and looking outside the window, they could stare right at you, and they would have no idea you were out there. You circle around and arrive at the entrance of the chapel. No one is inside presently, but a quick test of the door reveals it to be locked. How do you want to proceed?
With a
Mole?
roll of a lockpick skill.
Molly unfurls a small bundle of tools and begins to set herself to work. Go ahead and give me a locksmithing test.
Don't like the precedent that the dice have set for this session.
A lot of red is what I'm looking at. Remember that one session we ran? Yeah, something's got to break it. The whatever memory of Jane Radcliffe was, I guess it has been thoroughly washed away by the rain, and it's Molly Rowlands that unfurls this bandolier, gathers a few small files, and you can see years of practice and dexterity opening the lock. Mr. Potterton, you remark just quietly to yourself as she does this, she could have opened doors in your house and you wouldn't even know that they'd been unlocked. She picks her way through it, slides it to the side, pushes the door open.
Much like your heart.
But
That's how she rolls.
that one can never be relocked.
You slide it open, and the three of you step in out of the rain and into the quiet of the chapel. The roof is like very solid, and the rain is muffled as the door swings shut behind you. You can't help but notice the wet footsteps you're leaving in the door. The entrance into the rest of the house is a large 2-story door, like heavy doorway that leads out and would also be like the main entrance into this chapel. And there's a smaller side one that would lead into the house as well, but into a small storage room first, or place where you could like organize things. There's a number of pews laid out, and there is the altar in the center. All the doors are closed, and as you come in and hold your breath for a moment, you can hear like footsteps of someone moving elsewhere in the house, like creaking, but they recede, and seems like you are alone and unnoticed. What would the three of you like to do?
Well, don't look at the symbol. Don't touch it if you can't. If you can help it, but we got to dig underneath. And I don't know how to do it quietly. This is where a distraction would come in, but I guess we'll see what we can do.
Oh, we cannot do this quietly, no.
So you head towards the altar and you pull back like the cloth that lies above it, and there's a wooden board that was previously like seated across it that hid this symbol for many, many years. The board itself has already been pried loose. There are some evidence of someone working on this, but it's actually pretty well hidden and nothing's been broken. And as you get past that and towards the inside, you can see that one of these stones is laid in it so that you like pull it away and then maybe go down under the altar. Once again, you can see like chips along the side where a bar or similar implement has been opened. You can possibly get, it looks as though someone's already loose in this one, so there's a chance this can be done quietly. This is going to be a strength test from whoever wants to try and do it. Through the support of your allies and tools brought, you can have a bonus dice.
60 strength.
50.
George?
I'm sorry. I thought I was sticking outside for the watching.
No,
My
that
bad.
totally makes sense. In that case, no. If
make
that's
sense.
not a bad idea. You stay on the doorway just outside with it shut.
Because that
and
way,
give
if
me a retrieve.
you can see if lights come on in the house.
I was like in my head, like, oh, it's funny. I can
Yeah.
see. I'm close enough to see the door, but I guess I'm just peeking, and I was like visualizing
Right, no
from
worries.
the whole time.
All right, 60. Let's have a go with bonus die.
Go for it. Okay. Yeah, the two of you work together and pry it in and open. Shifting it back. It takes a short period, and eventually you're able to pull it away and pry it to size, not breaking it. In the process, you can see that the inside of this has been relatively not maintained. This one isn't like clawed by earth like the other ones. You can't see Naldo is. There is like a stone section, and then it goes down into the ground, and there's been at some point in time like bricks laid or enough to kind of keep it back, and it leads in a tunnel straight down. With lanterns hoisted, one of you can descend. Hell, both of you can descend.
Oh, bye.
Let's do it. That was a lot easier than I thought it'd be.
Yep, yeah, I thought it was going to be a lot harder.
Fantastic. We'll get it
Is
done.
it better if one of us stays up here?
Yeah, probably.
I'll stay up here, and that way if George indicates we need
yeah.
to make a quick getaway, there's a chain of... We are not unaware.
Yeah. Worst case, cover it up and get out yourself, and I'll stay till it's quiet.
If I don't hear from you in 3 minutes, I'll
Yep,
come down. That's all it should take, yes?
Yeah, but if someone's about to come in, cover it up, get yourself out, and I'll come out when it's quiet.
Noted.
All right. Molly begins to go down. As she does, she descends down. You can, Emma, you can see the lantern disappearing down into the darkness as she goes step by step down into that cold unknown. Upstairs on the surface, I'm going to need a couple rolls from you. Mr. Potterton, could you please give me a luck roll? And Miss Wentworth, can you please give me Constitution?
Yeah, cool.
Luck failure from me.
Okay. From the
Still got it.
inside, you feel something like your stomach twists, and it's as though something inside it is churning over and trying to reach upwards back the tract for a moment, and you hunch over in agony and like twist your hands into your stomach as if holding it in place in pain. But with the successful roll, you're able to keep yourself silent and hold it down, not letting out a yell or drawing attention to yourselves. Outside, Mr. Potterton, as you're waiting, you see lights come on in the inside, and someone on the ground floor begins to move.
Okay.
Actually, it's probably, you can probably even determine it's from the kitchen. That light goes off, and a candle, like someone holding a flame, begins to walk along the house, possibly doing like a lockup before retiring. This will probably be the last check for the evening.
Okay. Perfect. I think and they will almost certainly check the chapel. So I am going to attempt to preempt their search by like getting them to find a little. It's the standards. Find a little thing to go in another direction. So rather than start a fire, I'll take my lantern, like keep it hooded for now if I can, like to dart off to like the far side of the property as much as I can, and then leave the lantern out so that someone can find it and be like, what the hell is that? And we'll have to go and check what it is. But when they get there, they'll just find a lantern, and hopefully it's like maybe someone left this. I try to create a situation where ideally
you will probably need to be seen. This person's going through the house. They would do they're checking the house. They're not going to go outside just yet. You would need to like get their attention in a window. It can be far enough away that you can't be made out, but you kind of have to get their attention with the lantern and then put it down, and then you yourself are like booking it away before they can arrive.
Sure.
My understanding, because I'm thinking if you just like go and leave it somewhere, that might be part of their search, but more likely they'll hit they're going to hit the interior first, right?
Yeah, and
Just confirming this person's doing a check inside the house. They're not doing a loop outside.
Seems
the
to
house.
be, yeah. If they're the cook or someone, they're probably already in their slippies.
But the chapel's connected, so it's likely they'll go inside. Yeah, that makes sense.
Not necessarily.
Just hammer on the door. You also, opening the door slightly, you can see that Molly's gone down. This Wentworth could slip inside as well, and you could close the stone on her, or you guys could close the stone on just Molly, and the two of you dart outside, and then a check would reveal nothing. You could just move back, and you guys could just like crouch down behind the pews, and then if they just open the door and sweep inwards, they'll see nothing.
Actually, that's a better idea. I think I'll dart
And I can come,
and try and prepare that and be like quick, and we'll try and poop and reset and yeah.
So Molly's going down it. You are moving the stone back on top of it, and then lowering the cloth. Where are Emma and George going?
Just outside the door, where we can't be seen, I guess.
Yeah.
If we have time. If we don't have time, behind a pew.
Okay.
Depending on how good our the stealth roll is, somewhere well hidden within the church.
Yeah, understood. Okay, Molly goes down. Molly, from above, you can hear scraping as you are basically entombed inside this small place.
That's hilarious. Like immediately after I suggested it, it happened.
It happens. George and Emma, I need a strength roll with a bonus dice from one of you to move this back into place quietly and without breaking things.
I think you're actually stronger than me, Emma. 40, so please.
Bonus die. Oh, very nice.
Emma, even with like this agony, just like pushes it down, moves it across the Potterton's house, places it in the rolls it down, and the two of you dart outside, closing the door behind you. And Potterton throws his like shirt or cloak around the lantern to stifle it, and then you wait with bated breath, listening for the doors on the interior to open and close. I'm not going to need stealth rolls from you. You've done so well on like setting the scene and everything. When the person opens it, they look in, see nothing. Close it once more, and just continue on their way. Inside, Molly, you go down, like, ladder after ladder, rung after rung, down under the earth. Eventually, you land on the ground and find already excavated is one of these pillars with a symbol scrawled in, or chipped into it long ago. The air down here is completely dead, and with the stone dragged across you, I am going to ask you to make a sanity roll, as you are kind of locked here inside by yourself.
That checks out. I've got shockingly high sanity, so this can go very well. Extreme success.
Worse things have happened today already. This is so low on the bar.
I think I haven't done this before.
A little grave robbing.
Before.
What would you like to do? Do you want to just take another etching of it? Do you want to try and retrieve the whole thing? Do you want to try and break it?
No.
Okay.
No.
It takes you a short while scratching along it to get the symbol, which I am just sharing with you now.
Well, if it's anything like the others, it'll be like 3 lines.
Yeah, exactly.
4 lines.
That is it there, and I'll just whip it across to our viewers to see as well.
It honestly, we had the first 3.
I feel like you could have guessed a couple.
We could have brute forced that. We could have just kept drawing it until we got it.
Should have actually challenged you to just have a crack, and if you get it, I'll give it to you. You grab this last symbol and begin to bring your way back up. Wrong one. With the successful sanity roll, you're able to get to the top and just like wait for a moment and then give a brief knock. And then Mr. Potterton and Miss Wentworth, no rolls needed, are able to draw the stone away.
Good.
You are pulled up and out of the thing. You put it back into place, put the thing back down, and all of you spirit back out into the darkness. None the wiser. You can return to your carriage and have successfully heisted the symbol. Well done.
Heck, yes.
How on earth did we just pull that off?
Well, we trusted in the expertise of our companion.
Yep.
Well done.
It's not done yet. We're not done yet.
Let's get back to it as quick as we can.
All right, you return to the carriage and make your way back towards Tarryford through the raging storm. Back in town, Reverend Jennings, what would you like to set yourself to?
I mean, I want to see if I can get this ritual as understood as I possibly can. I'm not a stupid man. I think intelligence may... Nope, education is just higher. But I am relatively intelligent. With the symbols I already have, even without knowing the last one, is it reasonable for me to assume that there is an order happening here? Insofar as, you know, there's 2 lines and 3 lines or however many, and then 5. If I assume potentially the middle maybe, you know, there's just a certain number associated with it, that it is somewhat of an instruction for the order in which things must be done.
Very disconcertingly, and I thought it was true when we just had 3 of these, but now seeing it, it's actually 1, 2, 3, 5.
Yeah.
And there's
It's 2, 3, 4, 5.
That we have a 1.
Depends on if you do the sticky out or the total. It depends on how you
Because
map
if
it, but it
there
skips
are-
one.
Oh, hang on. Yeah, sorry, maybe I got that wrong.
Yeah.
The final symbol is...
total 2, 3, 4.
No, because then the total is 6, so it does...
Yeah, there is a
theoretically
jump.
skip one.
Either way you count it, there is a jump. Yes.
Okay.
And you would know just from the count. I mean, you've got 2, 3, and then 5 or 6, depending on how you count it. Either way, this last one does not create a completely even number.
And yeah, it's quite disconcerting. We did, when we went down to explore, could see like other collapsed areas that we weren't really sure we could explore, but we have no... I mean, the one thing that we have done is that we have trusted that they picked cardinals. We don't necessarily know that. I don't know how elementary knowledge cardinal directions is. Whether like ancient cultures had like cardinals as a concept.
The sun goes.
Yeah,
but north, south, east, west, splitting it into quadrants.
The handout itself refers to the
Faces turn to the 4 winds.
The 4 winds,
which is generally...
wind, yes.
Also, the 4 winds are like Greek,
South,
like
west.
ancient Greek
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, and that's
like,
that's the Romans' interpretation of the ritual that predates them, but they seem to be facing those directions, certainly.
So if the Romans are saying 4 winds, they're gonna mean
It's
North,
true
south,
life
east,
is-
west.
Oh yeah, I
It's
get
true
the
to life
Romans
as well, 'cause
the
the
Romans definitely were
winds-
saying that, but whether they were just they were applying an interpretation onto an ancient ritual that
There is that level of like, this is 13 steps of interpreting and understanding it. You know, you can't ask anyone on the period. Reverend, could you give me an a cult would be the most appropriate role here. You'll get some information regardless, just going over things. I can kind of set you in a direction, but this is going to be focusing you. Would you like... No, this isn't quite Dr. Parsons' area of expertise. He's a medicine man. But he could help you, or he could go and procure more of the tinctures. Would you like the bonus dice, or would you like him to get you a few more little bottles?
I would like to make sure that my companions are safe. So I will set him to retrieving, and I will see what I can do on my own, keeping to the fact that this is somewhat preliminary, and that with more information comes greater levels of understanding. So we can only do what we do.
Go ahead and make an occult roll, please. Straight roll.
What is that?
What you,
That'll be
this is what
6
you save your
points.
luck for the entire scenario every single time, Art.
That is very true, and it is only 6. So yes, you may have 6 points.
Okay. So,
To successfully occult.
yeah, you successfully occult. You have a look at the ritual, and you also have an understanding of what your fiance experienced by conducting some ritual. So,
It's also just like, is the luck element that maybe like the North Lakes said a thing that let slip a little bit more than perhaps they should have, and I'm able to use that thread and be like, wait, they said this, aren't I lucky that they gave me this little piece?
they played their handle. Yeah, given you've
Just
kind
as
of
a
already
silly little like,
yeah,
luck.
and you've already
It was
been
like,
tipped.
why was I lucky?
You've already been tipped to them having some interest in it, so yeah, I think that's reasonable. Yeah, they may have let something loose. The
We
ritual
don't usually
itself.
explain how luck comes into play, but I was like,
Yeah, no,
let's try.
it's fun actually. I think it's a good idea. So the ritual, as it stands to do it, quoth on quoth correctly, would be to travel into the font at the center, which you believe to be the like well that Miss Wentworth and Mr. Potterton found underneath the Four Feathers Inn, which is right in the heart of town. There, you would paint each of you one of these symbols in blood on your forehead or similar. Then you would join arms and drink the ichor. From there, you'll be transported into this other realm, meet with whatever is there. Doing so by what were like leader figures in the Teleri, clearly said like they were doing so with like some level of control, and that continues on with Miss Wentworth's experience and people like Dr. Parsons. So Dr. Parsons has a like accidental touch and then goes down. Same with Molly, actually, Miss Rowlands. And then they have like very little control, basically get through on luck or by being saved. Then Miss Wentworth goes in. She does, I want to say, a strong 20% of the ritual. She goes in with more control, but is still like at risk. Like your equipment didn't come through correctly. You were like out of sorts for a while. You were alone. You were isolated. Took you a while to get your heading, and even then, reiterating, like there were a number of quite good power rolls that kind of brute forced your way through some of these situations. The more elements you have of it correct, the more control you have over all of this to visit this other space. You also know that when you went to what you now believe to be the same dimension through the like long corridor at the North Lakes estate, it was different to how it is now. Dr. Parsons and Miss Wentworth have both had the impression that something was imprisoned underneath this, or all of this, and was seeking to get out. Now, whether the Teleri imprisoned something down there, or if they were looking to get it out, it is a little unclear. But clearly something is locked in this space, and it is now leaking forth. You have been told that this was Miss Wentworth's elder, now deceased / absent / missed sister, who in dicking a spell roll, put a foot in the door, and the well-secured prison is now not so much, and things have begun to slip out. The doctor had the impression that they were being fed to something, so it may be gaining strength and beginning to leak out. Final kind of element of this is clearly the New Northlakes have some level of understanding or desire to control it. You're not sure exactly what their intentions are, but it seems as though like this is happening, and maybe they're just trying to direct it in some way. You're also keenly aware that like this storm that's building up, little came out of nowhere, definitely getting worse. You have that like foreboding, like it's tonight, you know, it's soon, things are coming to a head. By the time Dr. Parsons comes back with a few more of the tinctures, you're like started out of your research and, you know, a little on edge of everything as he sets down a few more bottles ready for your companion.
I mean, I'm good, but so while you were talking, I was half listening and half reading because I was like,
I'll take half.
Yeah. Because I was just checking what you were saying against the actual document that we have that tells us. So the other reason I'm gonna flag, I'm a little on edge, is it because the ritual involves drawing those symbols onto marker stones as well as onto the people who are doing the ritual with blood of a sacrifice?
Yes.
So I think Elizabeth Northlake might be in quite a lot of trouble.
Oh, damn, again.
Yes.
Again.
And also, Miss
Yeah.
Wentworth had a sacrifice for doing it. They used Miss
I
Rowland's
did.
elder
I did.
brother.
Wait, what?
Oh no.
Oh,
Arthur
yeah,
Arthur
no,
had
it
died
doesn't-
recently by Mr. Potterton's hand, so they used his blood on Miss Wentworth's head to do it. So they actually did the sacrifice component.
So I had one of them. That's why I was mostly chill.
But yes,
I am. Yeah.
But
my
that one
feeling
away
is
on the
like.
pinboard for later.
Yeah, later. I mean, it doesn't say anything about the sacrifice necessarily needing to die. It needs to be someone who, I don't know.
you'd
Those are
probably
like
assume.
lines-
Those
Those
Yeah.
are some
works.
lines you can.
Yeah. Well, the
comfortably
other
read
one would be
between.
like what you genuinely human sacrifice would probably be denoted as such. The instinct would probably be like generally like lamb, like something.
or gold or something.
Yeah,
even,
the
potentially.
blood drawn from it suggests something living. Well,
There's
was
something
living.
they say. There's one thing they say about stones. You can't get blood out of them. I was just being smart for no reason. I didn't need
And
to.
the other one is that the Northlakes have some ties to the area. Like Elizabeth was very directly, or the eldest heir was the one that was trying to be sacrificed last time. Now the Northlakes are not the Teleri. They came to this place after the fact. They're not. You can't trace their generations all the way back to the original. They came and moved into this place well after that. So there's not like that through thread, but they are clearly tied to this area and fairly potent in some way.
Yeah, that's yes. I'm still concerned for Elizabeth. For sure.
Probably so.
Whether or not the sacrifice can be an animal one or not, I mean, again, as someone who is familiar with church rituals and like the history thereof, animal sacrifice would be a thing. But there are also plenty of religions that use like the burning of food and items as a way of sacrificing them so that the gods may get their essence. So like there's sacrifice can mean different things for different religions.
For sure.
I suspect a human sacrifice would give us more power. That's just my vibe, but it could be done with an animal, or my other inclination is it could be done by us. We can like use our own blood as a like we are giving a part of ourselves to make this ritual stronger each individually, but I don't know. That's
There is a level
question
of this, and this is generally kind of the like nature of. Clearly, there is room for improvisation. Miss Wentworth did not do the steps as they are laid out and made progress. There's
good
stuff.
Regardless,
sense.
my immediate shock is Elizabeth.
All right.
Again.
You spend some time studying over this, and the others will return shortly. I'm going to roll once more for Dr. Parsons. Again, even on a failure, he's going to produce... Actually, I don't think they have luck because he's just it's a character. It doesn't matter. He spends the time doing it. He will produce another 4, so you have 5 in total. And he has some means to possibly make more if absolutely necessary, but basically that's you kitted out. He sort of like stirs you from your study, and you wake slightly with a start. Looking down, you can see the notes scrawled in margins that you're making, a copy of the handout that was given to you or discovered at the North Lakes has been sort of translated. You've gone over it again and again, and Dr. Parsons leans down and says, the others have returned. When you come downstairs, you see them coming out of the rain and in possession of the final symbol.
We're in a good place.
I will just note quickly, so each of these symbols had like a translation associated with them. You succeeded your occult roll, and I think you got a few of the previous ones, so I'm just going to give you like a vibe for each one. So I'm going to begin with the one that you found at... Oh, there's a very handy drawings you've done on the map, Jackson. The one that you found in the Pendlehaven Woods to the south, beneath the ash. and this symbol translates or is suggested to be Nuin, which is translated to the ash tree. Art, you both in character and then reinforced the role, if I remember correctly, knew that this was something to do with like transitions between worlds, was what the symbol and meaning of. The next you found underneath Mortview House, which is the Potterton estate, was the line with the smacker on it, which could be either the first or the second. And this one translated to be Hawthorn, which is associated with preparing for a task. The one to the north that you found, which Miss Molly has only just passed along to the others, is known as Gort, which translates to ivy, and has something to do with overcoming obstacles. And the final, just now retrieved from Stormley Chapel, is the, 3-line one, and that one is Heather, which is most often associated with transformation and contact with the other world. Per your understanding of things, the one that they do not have, that being the North Lakes, would be the ash tree, and transition between worlds. You also, through this study, you do not believe them to be in an order. The symbols are symbols. They're not. It's not a tally or a count. Yeah. I will rid that from your minds. They're just. Well, there's the 5. There's also the circly one.
It's in the circle one.
Do I know what that means?
I'm just checking that. I'm pretty sure it has an extra step. Un momento, por favor.
Sorry. Also, the Heather was transformation and what? Sorry.
Let me go back.
Contacting the other world.
Thank you, Jackson. Not check that. Here we go. Okay. This one does not seem to translate over to like a direct phrase. You believe it is tied directly to this other space. That, you know, this dreamland, wherever this thing was imprisoned, it is directly to that, and to this particular ritual. It is the connecting thread through all of them. It does not have a translation into theory language. Or not one that the Romans ever understood.
Just added those to the map as well.
I mean, it's interesting that the symbol for this space is a enclosed circle. And really, you don't trap things in open lines. Just a thought. Sorry, I'm gonna read this again. There is no. They talk about. Sorry, I'm just like wait. Central Mound.
Cut into the Reverend's actual train of thought.
Yeah, sorry.
So
I am trying to work out, and I suspect it will happen regardless. That I am going to try and see if I can acquire those 4 plants, dried in some variety, probably from the apothecary. As a because in most cases when you do rituals, it involves like a sacrifice is used, but it is often also burnt, and the smoke of these things and having them like burning as part of this might assist us.
Yeah, if
we are in fact using the principles of the natural philosophy. If we inhale the smoke of these 4 things, we are prepared to overcome any obstacles while transitioning between worlds and transforming from the physical into the spiritual. And I suspect that might give us a bit of an edge.
I love that.
Look, again, think about like Catholicism and the censure that they use to like smoke
those things kick ass.
The church. Yeah, all that kind of stuff. I'm like, doing that.
So as we draw the session to a close, the 4 of you reconvene down in the parlor where the Reverend goes over his notes. You contribute your own new symbol from Stornley House, and do believe that you have found all 5 of the relevant symbols to to do this, and through the Reverend study, have a pretty strong understanding on what, at the very least, the Teleria did all those years ago. You also have more information, at least in this to hand, than the North Lakes ever did. Dr. Parsons is present with you and is checking in on Miss Wentworth, mentioning that you had another bout of pains. Will suggest that maybe now is the time to do this while you're in the, in the comfort of others. Outside, the rain continues to hammer down, and just before we resolve this session, I'm going to need all 4 of you to make listen rolls.
Aw.
Hell yeah.
It's my favorite thing to make at the very end of a session.
No,
Hey.
I'm busy. I'm busy person. I'm busy being in pain.
I'm just outstanding, mister. There we go.
Good
I'm sorry. Oh. If
You're
we're
probably
in-
all right, Jim. The others have ticked it.
Thank you.
Some of us got it hard.
As you're all standing there, sort of like listening over it, Reverend addressing the others over the hammering of the rain. Reverend, you hear what sounds like something landing on the roof and sort of moving along. You hear a shingle
Oh no.
drop down to the ground outside, and then another thing, and then Molly with a hard success. You hear that, and then suddenly you hear from the room above Mrs. Parsons go, as giggling filters down the stairs. And that is where we are going to leave this session to pick up next week.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. All right, well, thank you all for tuning in and watching. Thank you to the cast for playing, and we hope we will see you in 1 week as we pick back up the Emptiness Within. Yeah, thanks so much, and hope we'll see you soon.
Thanks,
Ciao.
everyone.